Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach, and here we talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle. All right, so before we get into this video, I just want to introduce another sponsor of today's video, and that's Beadlock Coffee. Some of you have maybe seen my past video where I talked about Beadlock Coffee. I've been drinking Beadlock Coffee for about 2 to 3 months now, and honestly, one of my favorites. I've tried a lot of local roasters around the country, and Beadlock Coffee makes excellent coffee. They do a lot of different roasts, so if you're not into light roast, you can get medium and dark roast. They've got basically the whole gamut. I like light roast, so I've been doing their lift kit bag primarily, and then I drink this 2-wheel drive, which is also really good, and it's decaf. So I'm a big fan of this. Go check them out. I've got a discount code for 10% off. It's OVLDENG. Definitely recommend you go check them out. The thing that I think is kind of crazy is, like, I drink coffee whether I'm on a trip or not, and I'd be willing to bet that more of you drink coffee than go on overland trips as well. So go check them out. It's really good coffee, and with the discount code, that saves you on this sort of craft style coffee. But once you try this sort of stuff, you'll basically never go back to Caribou or Starbucks. It's just so good. Not to mention, think of how many bags you could buy instead of like a set of ditch lights. I'm not saying that this is more important than ditch lights, but it's interesting to look at the value proposition of like drinking coffee every day versus something you maybe just use on trips. I don't know, maybe that's just the like practical person in me or something, but I really like their coffee. Definitely recommend you go check them out. They're sponsoring me for the bulk of 2024, and I really appreciate it because, like I said, I drink a lot more coffee than I go on overlanding trips, and so this will keep me fueled for 2024. All right, let's get back to the video. So today I'm going to make a video on the tires that I started talking about a while back, and I haven't addressed, and I want to kind of make my follow-up video to that. So if you aren't aware, I'll put the link up in the top somewhere, but go check out my part 1. Basically what I thought was a lot of people complain that 33s and 35s start to get really heavy, and I wanted to see if running a lighter weight tire really would provide improvements to your miles per gallon, because a lot of people ask about this, and I don't know if someone's really fully addressed it. And so I tried to use some products to do some testing and do a little bit of a real world example. So on the one side, I had my Relation Race wheels beadlock setup. They're one of the original RR6 wheels. They've been out for a while. And I was running my 35-inch beadlock mounted Baja Boss ATs from Mickey Thompson. They were around 100 or so pounds. And then on the other side, I had the RS7S, which is like the new mono-forged lightweight Relation Race wheels wheel. They're a lot, lighter weight. They're built completely from one block, so they're really strong. And without the beadlock ring, they're that much lighter. And then I was running Toyo AT3 Load C 35-inch tires, which the Load C rating was at, I think, like 40 or 50 PSI for roughly, it wasn't quite the same weight. It was a little bit lower. That was a Load C. Then the Baja Boss was the Load D. And so comparing these two side by side, I talk a little bit more about their specs, what load ratings are, sizing, all those sorts of things in the other video. So go check that out. But to kind of pick up where that left off, I want to talk about the results. So this is going to be a shorter video, but I want to at least address the results and my thoughts, and then kind of going forward, what my hopes and plans are for testing out some different tires. So I really love the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs, but I like to continue to test others because, more tires continue to come out. I also haven't tested all the tires out there. One in particular is the General all-terrain tire. I forget the exact name, but that's something I want to check out too. So I want to continue to test out some different tires. I've tested out BF Goodrich KO2s. I've tested out, Falcon Wild Peak AT3Ws. Apparently, I think a AT4W might have just come out, so that'd be kind of interesting to check out. I've tested out some DuraTrack Goodyear Wranglers, I think they're called, or Goodyear Wrangler DuraTracks. Not sure. I didn't really like those too much. I really liked the Yokohama Geolander MTs, but they aren't really an overlanding sort of snow tire per se. Some people use them, but on hard pack, I didn't find them to be super great. So they're kind of more purpose designed So I've really liked these Mickey Thompsons because I think they're a really nice all-around tire. When I had 34-inch AT3s, I like them, but my rig was a lot lighter weight at that time. And so, yeah. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. I'm kind of rambling, but I want to test out more all-terrain tires just to kind of see what else is out there. And so far, Mickey Thompsons have still kind of been my go-to. So when I went and did kind of all this testing the past couple of months, some of the first things I noticed when I started running these Load C tires is, I think my Forerunner is around somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 pounds. I don't exactly know the weight, but let's just assume that's around where it is so that we can spec the tires accordingly. And I started to notice that my tires would sag pretty much always. So I'd try to pump them up. They would seem to sag a little bit. I don't know if that's because the bead was coming loose on the wheel or if it's just how it was, but for some reason they always seem to sag a little bit. And I don't know if that was meaning they were letting out a little bit of air, but I tried to continue to run them at 40 or 50 PSI, just what seemed to be like the good amount to keep them functioning at the load rating I needed them to be. Because the sidewalls on the Toyo Open Country AT3s are a little bit thinner and a little bit softer. And so they're really comfortable for your ride quality. And if they're maybe a little bit more robust as far as your weight requirements for your rig, then it might be fine. But for me, I was kind of right on that border. So kind of initially, the feedback I got on the miles per gallon is it really didn't change at all. In fact, it might have even gone a little bit lower. But overall, I think it was just about the exact same as my Mickey Thompsons. And that was shedding like 20 pounds of weight. And one of the reasons for this, I think, is really due to the sidewalls. So if there was a tire that you could bump up here that would just be a little bit heavier with a thicker sidewall, I think that would have helped tremendously because the sidewalls were so squishy. I think they absorbed a lot, and that ultimately will tend to slow down your vehicle, and so that just makes your engine work a little harder, and it takes away some of that efficiency. So depending upon what sort of tire you're running, a lot of guys like to run Load E tires. I personally kind of like Load D. I think kind of walking that balance of sidewall squishiness is important because if it's too rigid, then what you're going to end up happening is you're going to have cupping and you're going to have weird tire wear because your tires are way over-spec'd for your vehicle. But then on the other side, if you have too squishy of a sidewall, which is kind of what ended up happening here, and I had my suspicions, but I was hoping it wouldn't be a big deal, it starts to go the other way where I think you can't keep your tires pumped up hard enough to run the weight you need, and they don't perform at sort of their peak optimal level. So unfortunately, these tires were not exactly the answer for this situation. So kind of going forward, something that I've thought about is I can throw up a couple of different screenshots of my ScanGauge if you want to see those different readings. But I want to test out some different options for improving your miles per gallon. So I've got a new test that I'm going to try, and I'll show you that in a little bit here. But I think that I think it's called the unsprung weight of your tires isn't necessarily the catch-all be-all. There's some other things here that you need to consider. And so speccing out your load rating and your sidewall rigidity, I think, is going to be important. And so ultimately, I don't think it was the fact that these tires were lightweight and that's just kind of a scam. It was more just the fact that I think they were too lightweight and that took away some of the sidewall rigidity I needed to bear the weight of my vehicle. And so ultimately, these tires I don't think I would recommend for someone like myself or a similar rig where you're starting to approach that 6,000 pound rating because it's just starting to get too heavy for them. So I need to look a little bit more, but if there was a Toyo AT3 in a Load D or Load E that was still quite lightweight but had just a little bit more rigid sidewall, I think that would probably be the answer here. But these tires are really comfortable. I love them on a 34-inch tire. And that's the other problem here is if you have a squishy sidewall, maybe running these with like 20-inch wheels would have been a completely different discussion. But the fact that I have 17-inch wheels and then a 35-inch tire, we're really getting a lot of sidewall and a squishy sidewall at that. So kind of balancing all of that again is really pretty important because that's how you're going to maintain the rigidity you need to bear the weight of your vehicle. But then also, as your sidewall gets too thick, then your wear will be bizarre. So you kind of have to balance those things out. So that's kind of my follow-up to this video. I still really like the wheels. If my Baja Boss AT3s weren't already beadlock mounted to my other wheels, I would maybe consider switching over. But if any of you have seen my beadlock mounting video, it really is a lot of work to mount them and then to get them balanced and everything. So I'm gonna stick with my current wheel setup right now and continue brainstorming next steps on what to do. But yeah, that would be my feedback. And unfortunately here, I don't have something exciting and fun to deliver for you. But that's kind of how, you know, this sort of R&D or testing goes. Sometimes it's not always, you know, sunshine and roses. And I'm going to kind of report that back to you regardless. So I don't think this was a problem with the Toyo AT3s. I really think I was just kind of maximizing their spec. And I think I got too close to that edge. These are really designed for a lighter vehicle and probably would work great on something like that. If you had a 4Runner with no armor or anything on it, and you wanted to run these as a 35 and be a very lightweight 4Runner build, it might actually work great. I didn't test that setup, and you know, if I had removed all my armor, then my suspension springs are not really designed appropriately, and the rig might ride weird. I will have really bad CV angles, so it's hard for me to run that test, but that's something that some of you out there could maybe try out. I don't know if that's going to be better or not than my situation, but I like Toyo AT3s. I don't think they're a bad tire. And if you're someone out there who's got a 33-inch tire and you want to go to 34s, I love running these as a 34-inch tire. So really maybe consider that because they're so lightweight, their sidewalls are squishier, so they're a comfortable tire. I feel like the vehicle can handle them without a re-gear, and they're still easier to fit than a 35. So something to consider. But for the time being, I'm going to stick with my Mickey Thompson Baja Boss ATs, unless TrailBuilt is willing to help me out with testing out another all-terrain. So if you've never heard of TrailBuilt, TrailBuilt is a company that's based out of Wisconsin, and they've been supporting me for a little while now. And what they'll do is they'll ship to your doorstep a mounted and balanced set of wheels and tires. So if you're somebody out there who's got a new 4Runner and you're looking to get larger tires and a new set of wheels, what you can do is you can, I believe, get for free shipping both of these sent to your house. They're mounted, they're balanced, so and that's all free and included. So what you can do is basically order everything as a package sent right to your doorstep, and then you can put them on your vehicle. And it's really slick because if you've ever bought like beadlocks, beadlock mounting is especially expensive, but regardless of whatever you're trying to do, if you got to go buy wheels and tires, the mounting and the balancing is typically, you know, around at least $25 a tire. Typically it could be even more, and for beadlocks it's even more than that. And so you save a bit of money here, it's free shipping, and you can get a massive selection of wheels and tires. They also do a bit of a fitment guide on there, so depending upon your vehicle, they can help you out with that as well. I really like, though, the fact that they will beadlock mount your wheels for you, because if you have to go to a shop and pay someone to beadlock, they'll sometimes charge up to $100 to $200 a tire, because they basically charge 1 hour of shop labor per tire to put them together, because you got to go and you got to individually torque all of those. If you buy this stuff from TrailBuilt, it's free. I don't know how long they're going to do this because it's a pretty crazy good deal. But I don't think there's enough people that really know about this. And so if you're somebody who's wanting to get a beadlock set of wheels, look into ordering them from TrailBuilt Off-Road. Huge thank you to them for sponsoring my channel. I also really appreciate them supporting this sort of an experiment. And shout out to Relation Race Wheels for sending me this set of wheels. I wanted to kind of do this experiment and see for myself if it was really going to be that much of a benefit, and they were willing to try it out. So kudos to them for supporting me and allowing me to do these sorts of tests, because if you haven't noticed, it can get really expensive. So if you do go and buy any wheels or tires from TrailBuilt, you know, tell them that I sent you, because that helps them to be able to continue finding the value and supporting me. Because just posting these videos online isn't always going to have companies interested in, you know, following along on my experiments that I want to do. So if you do decide to purchase through them, heavily appreciate you letting them know that I sent you. So thank you so much. If you do want to buy Relation Race Wheels by themselves without tires, you can go to their website, and I have a discount code of OVLDENG to actually buy wheels from them that will ship to your house. So they did a big restock a little while back, and I bet a new one is going to be coming soon, so stay on the lookout for that. Okay, well, that's enough rambling. Let's jump into my new idea for potentially improving my miles per gallon or my efficiency. And I should really kind of explain, you know, the big reason I'm doing this, it's not so much that I complain, because it's obviously mostly self-inflicted to have such a bad efficiency here. And you know, OEM 4Runners, they actually get fairly decent mileage. It's like 17 to 20 miles per gallon. Depends on how you drive, those sorts of things. But the big reason is I don't want to have to stop for gas all the time. I don't really care what I get miles per gallon wise, because I want my vehicle to be capable and have the things that it does. And there's sacrifices you have to make to that. But I've had times where I'm driving from Minnesota out west, and I'm driving into the wind and I'm getting 8 miles per gallon, and it's terrible. And I can barely get like 100 miles without needing to stop for gas. And it's really, really inconvenient. And I could go and get one of those Long Range America tanks, but I haven't, you know, mustered up the desire to spend the money on that yet. I probably will eventually. But for now, I'm just trying to see if there's any creative ways out there. Because if I can figure something out too, it'll probably help out some of you out there as well. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. It's not so much because I'm just a miles per gallon hound and I'm trying to minimize or maximize something. It's mainly just because I don't want the inconvenience of needing to refill my whole tank all the time. And also, if you're farther away from gas stations, that's always a better thing as well. So, okay, so the idea I have is I was driving up in northern Minnesota with a rooftop tent on my roof, and I was getting incredible gas mileage. I don't know why or how, but I have this new theory that my gas mileage went up when I put on skids, and maybe it'll go up if I create a smooth surface on my roof rack. So I've had some tents and other stuff shipped to me, and I've had this just laying around. It's a piece of 1/4-inch plywood, and it's almost cut to the perfect size. So for my Sherpa roof rack, I need an 85-inch long by 47-inch wide piece of plywood, and this is 86 inches by like 48. So I'm going to cut this down just slightly, and then we're going to bolt it to the 4Runner and see how it does. So 47 inches. Because I have a hunch that with this low of a profile on the top of my roof rack, it's going to work like a charm. And not to mention, you know, I can always put this up there when I'm not running a rooftop tent or something, and it'll be pretty slick, especially for daily driving. So obviously going on trips and things like this, it's not going to be as useful, but boy am I curious. So I'm going to draw a line here. It doesn't need to be perfect, and we're going to cut this down. I've got a handy little circular saw from Harbor Freight from their Hercules line. You guys know I love my Hercules tools, and that should make quick work of this. Got it propped up here and everything. So I'm just drawing my lines here, and then we'll get it cut. That's cut to size. Now we just got to drill a couple holes through it, and since it's 1/4-inch thick, basically all the T-nuts and bolts that come with all my brackets on the Sherpa rack should work just fine with this. So now I've got to cut a couple holes through here, and then we'll get it mounted on the 4Runner. 1/4-inch would probably be ideal. Okay, so we'll drill some holes here. I put some lines on here for like where to go. So thin, I hope it doesn't like pop off the car somehow, but I think we'll be okay. Okay. The goal is for this to be basically a windshield of some kind, so hopefully this is good enough. Okay, last but not least, need to drill a hole right over here, and then we can mount it on the car. Right here. feels good there. We should have a little bit of play, so I'm gonna get it up on the vehicle and try and bolt it down. All right, well, got it all attached up here. So now we'll see how it goes. All right, well, I got the plywood all mounted up. Time to start testing. So stay tuned for part 3 of this video, and we're gonna continue to try and see if we can improve the efficiency of the 4Runner on 35s. I think we definitely can figure something out here. So, all right, well, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. Go check out Relation Race Wheels and TrailBuilt. I'll have them both linked down below. They've been supporting me for over a year now, maybe even more than 2 years. I don't know, but they have been huge supporters of me. So go check out their stuff and consider purchasing through them because they've got some perks and I've got discount codes, so maybe that'll help you out. All right, well, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.